Mother Teresa was a global icon,
This is Mother Teresa.
a hero, and a mother to the poor.
Teresa is an individual who stands out today as one of the heroes of today.
She left behind a legacy that continues to inspire even after her death.
She works with the poor in India. Her message goes beyond India and beyond our usual understanding of poverty.
But does her legacy justify her story?
She doesn't have any structured helping system for the poor.
Should Mother Teresa have been granted sainthood?
What is this? This is 2 rooms with 50 to 60 men in one, 50 to 60 women in another. They're dying. They're not being given a great deal of medical care. They're not being given painkillers really beyond.
Was she really the savior of the modern age? Or was she a demon who took pleasure in the agony of the poor? Dr. Jack Pegger, a British physician, was providing free medical treatment to the poor in Calcutta in 1972. He first saw Mother Teresa in a BBC documentary and was impressed. After Mother Teresa received the Nobel Peace Prize, he began working with her. He soon discovered that the global image of Mother Teresa was misleading.
A great deal more should have been done in terms of modern medical care. The defense always was, we're not a medical order.
The doctor observed that there was no adequate medical care in Mother Teresa's ashram, and the same syringe was being reused multiple times.
The needles they used and reused over and over and over, and you would see some of the nuns rinsing needles under the cold water tap. And I asked one of them why she was doing it. And she said, well, to clean it. And I said, yes, but why are you not sterilizing it? Why are you not boiling water and sterilizing your needles? She says, there's no point. There's no time.
Children were kept together like vegetables, with many of them tied to their beds. Despite receiving millions and billions of dollars in donations, Mother Teresa did not provide medical care in these homes.
A boy of 15 who was dying, and an American doctor told me that she had been trying to treat this boy and that he had a really relatively simple kidney complaint that had simply got worse and worse and worse because he hadn't had antibiotics and he actually needed an operation. She said, well, they won't take him to hospital. And I said, why? All you have to do is get a cab, take him to the nearest hospital, demand that he has treatment, get him an operation. She said, they don't do it. They won't do it. If they do it for one, they do it for everybody.
She allowed a 15-year-old boy, who could have been saved by a simple medical procedure, to die. Although she had sufficient funds to run a modern hospital for the sick and the poor, she chose not to. When questioned about her unconventional methods, she responded,
"We are not social workers. The work is only a means to put our love for Christ into action."
Mother Teresa received not only money but also medical supplies as donations, yet she never utilized them. Suffering was the foundation of Mother Teresa's spiritual mission. In 1984, a gas leak occurred at a multinational company in Bhopal, resulting in the deaths of around 2,500 people and affecting hundreds of thousands. It was a tragic event where people died in agonizing conditions. There were widespread protests against these multinational companies.
But of a negligent multinational corporation.
And do you know what Mother Teresa's response to this tragedy was?
Mother Teresa's advice to the angry victims?
Forgive. Forgive.
She showed no concern for the thousands who died painfully. In fact, she seemed to take pleasure in seeing people suffer. Mary Johnson, who spent 20 years working with the Missionaries of Charity, eventually left Mother Teresa's organization and detailed her reasons for leaving in her book. Life for the nuns in the Missionaries of Charity was extremely challenging. They were required to live in poverty. Nuns were sent out to beg, even though Mother Teresa had access to substantial funds. Each nun was given only 2 sets of saris and was not allowed to bathe daily. They could not go out alone, watch television, or read newspapers. Communication with people outside the ashram, including their families, was prohibited. The nuns were made to wear spiked chains on their biceps to ensure they felt constant pain, which was termed as discipline. And this was cult of Mother Teresa. In 1969, Mother Teresa began to garner global recognition. That year, the BBC produced a documentary about her, and upon its release, she became an international sensation. The missionaries of charity societies expanded worldwide, establishing new ashrams in various countries. Each year, 15 to 20 new ashrams were opened, and sisters from many nations joined Mother Teresa due to her consistent emphasis on the love of God. Mother Teresa demonstrated immense compassion, and the world was astonished when she received the Nobel Prize. She received numerous awards, including the Bharat Ratna, and donations began to flow in. One branch, located in New York, was known as the Holy Ghost. A former nun reported that the missionaries of charity received $50 million in 1 year alone, and a total of $100 million overall. Considering the donations received over the years, it is difficult to estimate the total amount. However, some reports suggest that if the total donations to the missionaries of charity's ashrams, particularly during the 1990s, were accounted for, the amount could reach billions of dollars. Despite this substantial financial support, it is evident that these funds were never utilized for the benefit of the poor.
The situation in Ethiopia has gone well beyond the stage at which words like tragedy and disaster have any meaning. Thousands of people, perhaps even millions of people, may have died.
During the famine in Ethiopia, when people were dying of starvation, Mother Teresa was one of the few who visited the afflicted. The news media once again praised her for her compassion, prompting donations to the missionaries of charity from around the world to help combat the famine. However, when former nun Susan Shields suggested that the substantial funds received for Ethiopia should be sent there, a senior sister replied, "We don't send money to Africa. This wasn't just a case of Mother Teresa misusing funds. She didn't use the billions of rupees at all. The lingering question remains, where did these billions go?" Indian law requires charitable organizations to disclose their financial accounts, but the missionaries of charity did not comply. Similarly, in most countries where they operated, the financial accounts of their houses remained secret. German journalist Walter Wollenweber conducted research to uncover the missionaries of charity's finances and found that all their money went to the Vatican Bank. The Vatican Bank, unlike regular banks, is owned by the Roman Catholic Church and is considered one of the most scandalous banks in history. Former missionaries of charity nuns confirmed that the donations from around the world were deposited into this bank. Italian author Gianluigi Nuzzi wrote in his book that if Mother Teresa had withdrawn all her funds from the Vatican Bank at the end of her career, it would have emptied the bank's vaults. This gives an idea of how much money Mother Teresa deposited there. It wasn't that she had issues with the funds she received from around the world. She wanted even more money to deposit into the corrupt Vatican Bank. To amass even more money, Mother Teresa was willing to associate with criminals and thieves. One such businessman was Charles Keating, who donated $1.25 million to her. Not only that, but Mother Teresa also used Charles's private jets. However, Charles was behind one of the largest financial scams at the time, swindling money from the poor. When Charles was convicted and facing trial, Mother Teresa sent a controversial letter to the judge, stating, "Dear Judge Ito, we do not know the details of Mr. Charles Keating's financial affairs, nor do we want to. However, we know that he has always been kind and generous to God's poor, and always ready to help whenever there was a need. He has given to our congregation, and in turn we share his gift with the poor. Please consider this when you pronounce your judgment." The judge responded by highlighting that the money Keating donated was stolen from others and suggested that if Mother Teresa wanted to act morally, she should return the money to the rightful owners. Despite this, the funds were never returned. Basically, Mother Teresa was asking to forgive Charles. Mother Teresa showed the world that she helps poors, but she asked to forgive the person who stole the money of poors. Instead of accepting his bad deeds, Mother Teresa was involved in other bad deeds. Father Donald Maguire was a very popular priest and was also a powerful speaker. He used to roam around the world to do retreats where he influenced young girls to become Catholic nuns. He was a missionary. In the 90s, Father Donald Maguire started working for Mother Teresa, and in a short amount of time Mother Teresa became very impressed with Donald Maguire. Mother Teresa had faith on him, and on behalf of Mother Teresa, Father Donald Maguire used to organize retreats all over the world where he influenced young girls to join the missionaries of charity. During these retreats, Father Maguire used to persuade religious parents to keep their young boys as interns with him. Father Maguire used to keep these young boys with him, but in reality Father Donald Maguire used to sexually abuse these boys. He abused minor boys for decades, but finally he got punished in 2009. Father Maguire continued sexually abusing these children for so many years, and the Catholic ministry had no idea about it, even though there were continuous complaints against Father Maguire. Actually, in 1993 Father Maguire was removed from the ministry, but guess what? On February 2, 1994, a letter was written to the ministry head Bradley Schaefer, who had removed Father Maguire from the ministry. Mother Teresa had written to Bradley, "Dear Father Bradley Schaefer, I am thankful to the Society of Jesus that they presented us the gift of Father Maguire. I trust Father Donald Maguire based on my personal experiences. Father John sent me Father Maguire's letter in which Father Maguire accepts his mistakes, and I know that this incident has had a negative impact on the reputation of priesthood. However, I have a pure trust in Father Maguire. I have faith and confidence, and I want Father Maguire to be included in the ministry again. The Ministry of Charity will make every effort to protect Father Maguire." So basically Mother Teresa was telling the head of the Society of Jesus that, "I know Father Maguire has sexually abused children, but I want you to leave him." And the Society of Jesus had to hear Mother Teresa's words because Mother Teresa had become the face of worldwide Christianity, and no one was bringing as much money as Mother Teresa. Father Maguire was included in the ministry, and Father Maguire sexually abused minors for another 10 years. Mother Teresa could have stopped Father Donald Maguire, but she did not do this. She needed Maguire not only because Maguire recruited nuns from all over the world, but Father Maguire also had connections with religious and powerful people from all over the world, and because of them Maguire brought donations to Mother Teresa. These are not enough for Mother Teresa, she just wanted more and more money.